Alright guys, let's just cut to the chase. We're in the final saga of One Piece and Zoro has yet to achieve a black blade. You know, this wouldn't be a big deal if he didn't have 3 swords, but he does. The Wado Ichimonji will probably be turned black fighting Mihawk, I believe, as a way to achieve his dream by honoring Kuina with her sword, being the main reason why Zoro probably wins the clash that puts him over Mihawk or defeats Mihawk. I don't know if he keeps the Sandai Kitetsu, to be honest. I don't know, I just have a weird feeling that sword it just doesn't feel like it has real significance to be in Zoro's arsenal to the end of the series. It might get replaced, but I could be wrong, and I honestly don't know how he turns that black or when he turns it black. But ENMA, without a doubt, is going to be turned black in Elbaf. Before we continue guys, I didn't ask this in my previous video, but if you guys can leave a like and subscribe to the channel, it would help me out a lot. I'm currently out the algorithm on YouTube because I've been away for so long to get my videos more out there. If you guys can like and subscribe, it would help me out a lot and I would very much appreciate guys. Thank you. So let's go to when Zoro defeated King. Zoro says if this is what it takes, I'll even become the King of Hell. Everybody's most famous line they use in power scaling debates. King of Hell Zoro would be this guy, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean. Now why is this important, you may ask? Well, when becoming the King of Hell, it may be more literal than you think. King of Hell and the term King of the Underworld are very similar and are going to be very important for this video. And these terms are simply referring to being at the top of the Underworld or the top of Hell, where all those demons and those monsters and like the worst things that you guys probably know what I'm talking about, it all resides in those realms. We know the term King of Hell or King of the Underworld is basically the same thing because Kozaburo, the man who made ENMA, named it after the King of the Underworld. And when Zoro defeats King, he says if that's what it takes, I'll even become the King of Hell, referring to having to wield ENMA while potentially losing his life in order to defeat King. So him wielding ENMA, him conquering ENMA to defeat King, he's essentially taming the sword that's named as the King of the Underworld, which is why he said he'll even have to become the King of Hell. And in another translation, they even refer to ENMA, they straight up just call it the King of Hell as well. So if that was confusing from what I'm trying to say, I'm basically just trying to show you guys that ENMA is named after the Lord of the Underworld. That's what ENMA means. So in this video, you're gonna hear me referring to ENMA as the King of Hell or the Lord of the Underworld plenty of times, and I'm gonna speak as if that's what it's named. So I'm just letting you guys know right now. So Zoro kind of takes on this King of the Underworld or King of Hell epithet when fighting and trying to conquer ENMA. Now, as we all know, he didn't completely do that in Wano. We know that if Zoro was able to keep up his King of Hell mode, his Hellfire, Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he would definitely die. ENMA was a catalyst of allowing him to achieve such a form to begin with. Zoro mentions on 2 different occasions that ENMA will kill him if he stays in that mode. Now, some people speculate that Zoro might have passively overcome this drawback while using ENMA, but I doubt it since it's a pretty substantial drawback to immense power, and those type of drawbacks don't get handled off screen unless there's like a time skip. And he didn't even get pushed to his limit in Egghead because even though you can't argue he used King of Hell mode against Lucci, we clearly see that Zoro put away a sword deactivating the mode, meaning he didn't even reach his limit with ENMA. So I don't think he got rid of this drawback. Now going off that premise, we can all agree that this needs to be overcome, and Zoro needs to fully master his sword, and in the process when he does that, it can probably result in him making it black. So how will he do that, and why would it be in Elbaf is the question. Now if you've been keeping up with Elbaf, you have seen that Elbaf is consisted of 3 major realms. The Heaven Realm, which is the highest point of Elbaf, the Sun Realm, which is in the middle of the giant tree, and finally the Underworld. Now in other translations, Dory literally calls the place the Realm of the Dead, which once again would be classified as what we know to be the Underworld. But that specific translation of him saying it's the Realm of the Dead is very important. Even when Luffy approaches the Underworld, the father on Elbaf tells him he's approaching the Realm of the Dead. Now you guys may have already made the correlations yourself on why Zoro has to have some type of storyline revolving this part of Elbaf. Before I state the obvious, going back to why I said the specifics of it being the land of the dead is very important, because Zoro is all the more likely to confront the Underworld and more importantly, the beings that reside in it, and more specifically, dead beings. Let's rewind a bit. Zoro, after he defeated King, the medicine that Chopper gave him eventually wore off, immobilized him. But with that being the case, a random Grim Reaper with a large scythe approaches Zoro and does God knows what to him. And what's crazy about that is that Grim Reapers are the symbol of death, and death is what they represent. Whatever took place here is setting up Zoro to confront this being, because Oda didn't make this random ass scene for no reason. It's set up for something and we just didn't know what it was. And what better place to confront the Grim Reaper, which is known as Death, in the underworld beneath Elbaf, that is also called the Land of the Dead. Now that I'm thinking about it, what if the Grim Reaper confronted Zoro because he falsely claimed the title of being King of Hell? As you guys can see, Oda already set up a plotline with the underworld being tied to ENMA, Zoro being the King of Hell, and lastly, the Grim Reaper for Zoro and Wano. For all these things to be touched upon in the underworld or the Land of the Dead is what really makes sense. Zoro officially mastering and taming his sword said to be the king of the underworld by fighting a being in the underworld that he already has ties with from what it seems like would make the most sense. Also, it's very fitting because one of the main problems with Zoro using ENMA was the fact that he might actually die using it. What if Zoro mastering his sword completely and making it black means he has to face death itself, who he can likely encounter again in the underworld? I want you guys to also remember Zoro explicitly states that ENMA wants to test him. The final and ultimate test would have to be if he can fully master the sword. Where and how else would you fully master the king of the underworld if it isn't now in Elbaf in the underworld? So yeah guys, Zoro has to start making his sword black at this stage in the series since we're in the final saga of One Piece. It seems like everything is pointing to ENMA potentially having importance this arc, and with Elbaf being a major arc, this could be time for Zoro's development with his swords. Make sure you guys take the time to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know if I'm chatting bullshit, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.